Nice rousing little tune there. That's the current one from the band Fun, and it is now coming up on 28 minutes to 6 o'clock, and we're continuing with the fun because with us in the studio is our very own lifestyle correspondent Lisa Pearson. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Danny.
Hi. So this month then we're starting to get ready for Christmas, aren't we?
Yes.
And tell us what we're looking at this month.
Well, we're going to look at Christmas presents this year, this time. We're going to look at some ideas to make sure that you don't go broke, that you don't get really stressed about getting these presents, how to work out what people actually really want so
Right.
you don't have those big disasters. And then we're going to have a look at children, because even if you don't have children yourself, you're going to have to buy for children. So how to get presents for children that aren't just rubbish.
Because Christmas is a big worry for a lot of people, and not least there's a financial worry because of all the presents they have to buy. It stretches people, and well, go on. What
Well,
have
that's
you got to say on
massive,
it?
and that's my first rule. Don't go broke. Don't go into debt for it. You know, fair enough. We're going to all use our credit cards, and it might span on, but your credit card shouldn't span on and take more than a month to pay off. If you don't have the money, you don't have the money. Don't feel guilty. The country's in a recession. It would be ridiculous to go broke because of Christmas.
Yeah, I think people need to. The first thing they should do is draw up a list of who they think they need to buy a present for, and then really go through it and decide who they can cross off that list.
Yeah, and not be embarrassed about it. So one of the things you can do is you can think, well, I used to normally spend 30 quid on them. Actually, could I get a decent present for 15 quid? With a little more time and effort, it's going to take more time and effort, but with a bit more time and effort, you certainly can. And then I've seen people worrying about friends and family not being funny. If your friends and family are going to judge you on how much the present cost, well, I don't really think they're worth worrying about.
No.
They're not worth worrying about. So you should also not be embarrassed to actually own up and say, do you fancy skipping this year? Or
Well, I was going to ask you about that because people get into that routine, don't they? That, we better buy for them because they always buy for us. And somewhere back in history, one of you started that. The other person thought, what have they gone and done that for? I'm now going to have to buy them a present. And then every year, you're both spending money. And is there a way to sort of, to without ruining any friendships, of sort of drawing a line under that sort of behaviour?
Oh, totally. You could say, can we skip this year? You could say, could we switch to just doing birthdays? And, do a nice card, but can we just switch to doing birthdays? You could suggest that you do a Secret Santa. If you've got a group of mates you go out with, you just do a Secret Santa. Everyone buys a present, £5 to £10, and you just buy one present.
I like the idea of that as well, because not only are you limited then on the amount you're spending, but isn't part of the rules of it that it's got to be something, the most appropriate thing you can find for that person, for that amount of money.
Yeah.
So you're not just going to get socks, you've got to get something that you think, that's them to a T,
Yeah. And or you can say to them, well, we're going to have presents, but do you mind if we have a limit? Do you mind if we have a limit this year? And if they're good mates, they will not be upset by it. They'll probably be relieved, and they're probably just as worried. And I've got lots of friends I'd buy a really nice birthday present for, but at Christmas, 5 friends could really put you actually into debt.
Yeah.
So it's just, so that's the first rule. And then you've got money on food if you have a party. And we used to get terribly into debt just because we'd have like a couple of people over in a month. So that's actually really quite easy. You can just ask people to contribute.
Right.
You just say, could you bring a meal? Could you bring a plate? Could you bring a meal? Could you bring some wine? Can you bring something? And then so you share the price, even if it's Christmas dinner. Then you can ask the in-laws to bring the Christmas pudding and the cheese and biscuits. They could take a whole meal out of the equation for you. They're not going to mind that at all. Not at all.
I mean, often when you go to somebody, if you're invited, you often ask, don't you? Oh, is there anything I can do? Can I bring anything? And 9 times out of 10, you're told no. Oh, no, it's okay. So take advantage of that.
Yeah.
If people are asking, saying, can I bring anything? You say, would you mind bringing the dessert? Would you?
Especially as it's Christmas. Yeah. Christmas is all about giving and receiving. If you don't ask, it's not Christmas. Yeah. If they're not allowed to bring something, if they're not allowed to contribute, it's not really properly Christmas, is it? Because you're not allowing them to give you something.
Sure.
So.
And that I think as well is another, to me, is an underriding sort of principle of all this, is remembering what it's all about, remembering the time of season. And I'm not getting particularly religious on this, but just remember it is about giving and receiving, and you know, season of goodwill and all that sort of thing. It's not, you know, you should be doing it because you want to do it, and it should bring you some joy. And if it's not, perhaps you need to look at that.
Yeah, don't do it anything out of fear or guilt. In fact, never, whatever your rules are about life, don't do anything out of fear and guilt. And the same thing goes for, I mean, this year actually postage is going to be an issue, because the price of postage has gone up. So if you put a bit of thought into a really thoughtful email with some pictures and stuff like that that's taken you a lot of time to put together, well, that is just as good in my book as sending a pile of cards, which just add to the wastage. I know you've got some people you're going to give a card to. Well, my kids can make those ones.
They couldn't make a few extra for me, could they? Because I got a few. No, what I've done this year, I'm not giving Christmas cards, even though I've stocked up. I've got loads and loads of Christmas cards at home, that, you know, unused ones. But I've decided this year I'm not giving Christmas cards. I came across a service online that I pay an amount of money for, and then I can send out. But these are beautifully animated cards.
Yeah.
I received one a couple of years ago, and I thought, wow, this is really nice. Looked into it and thought to myself, all right, you've got to pay for it. But when you work out the cost of buying Christmas cards and postage and everything else, it's so much cheaper, and it's very thoughtful.
I think in the past we could definitely have easily spent 50 quid on cards. That's a lot of money, I think. And it's going to be more this year. So no, I wouldn't go for lots of postage.
I also moan when I get cards. I think, where am I going to put those? I only live in a little space, and I'll put all them up somewhere now.
I do like cards. I put them up, but I get lots from my parents' friends, because they can't send them to my parents now. So I get cards from them. So they're the few people who I will send a card to with a little letter in it.
Sure.
Then some people, you could do something for someone, or you could make something for someone. So if you've got an old granny, she doesn't need any more, you know, little china decorations, frankly. But she could do with something done around the house, I bet you.
Yeah.
So that would be a good plan. Or, I mean, as you know, I'm not a particularly good cook, but some people are really good at it. They can make jams, they can make cakes. I've seen online, there are loads of websites online. They make little candles. You go to like a second-hand shop, you buy a little cup, put a candle in it. I mean, they make really pretty presents. And if you say, I made it, or you can do things like make a scrapbook with photos in it. There are lots of things. They require more thought and effort, but they won't cost you.
Right. Okay, we're going to take a break there. We're going to come back, though, in a minute. We're going to be talking about some of the best and worst types of Christmas presents as well. We've had some sent in already. They're great. Keep them coming in if you can. You can always put them on our Facebook fan page. Go to facebook.com/West Herts Drive, or feel free to tweet us if you'd like. We are at West Herts Drive. We'll be back with Lisa Pearson, our very own lifestyle correspondent, in just a moment. You're listening to West Herts Drive Time with me, Danny Smith, and our very own lifestyle correspondent, Lisa Pearson, is with us. Lisa, we are talking about Christmas, aren't we, and Christmas presents?
Yes, that's right, yes. And so I was going to give you some ideas on how to work out what somebody actually wants.
Right, okay.
Because you know, there can be a few examples of it going wrong, can't there?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, well, we've had an email in, actually. I've got to say hi to Dave, who has sent us an email, and he said that last year, he says, the wife and I agreed that we would just buy presents for the children because things are a bit hard at the moment, and come Christmas morning, boy, was I in trouble when she got out a present for me and I had nothing for her.
Yeah, I was going to say, that should be one of the rules. Never don't buy a present for your other half. My poor old other half fell for that one too, and it's really not a good plan. Always buy a present. Right. Always.
Okay, but just like to all women listening out there, don't say that if you don't mean it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
We get confused, you see.
But we can change our minds.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, we'll discuss women in another. That'll probably have to be a series of feature slots. I don't think we've got enough time to fit that into one. But okay, so yes. Christmas presents then.
Well, have you ever heard the really old-fashioned saying, something they want, something they need, something they can wear, something they read?
No.
Have you not heard it? It's fab, isn't it? I love that.
It's better than that borrowed and blue one anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That gives you a really good idea to actually kind of... Do you know what? A Christmas present doesn't... I think we should. When we're in a recession, there are probably things that they need. And it's fine to buy things they need, as long as you're also maybe buying something that they read or watch. Nowadays, maybe it's a watch as well. And something that they'd really like. And so that gives you some breadth to think about when you're buying presents for people. But what it is it's less about what you think they should have and more about what they actually want. So if you think about the person, you might have to ask them a few questions.
Right.
You might have to have a little think. So you go and think about the house and you think, well, what do they have around the house? Right? Some people are very minimalistic. Some people have got lots of little bits and pieces, little kind of collections or whatever. They may have too many already, though, so they may not have space. So,
Right.
so think before you add to it. But, some people, you'll see that they love smelly things. That's perfect. Something that's going to run out is a great present because you can buy it again next year. So that would be lovely. Or they may love pictures. They may love books. If you look around the house, you'll see the books, you'll see the DVDs, you'll see the CDs, you'll see the gadgets, you'll see what they've got around them. That is a massive clue. Mm-hmm. Maybe a car with a man. Have a look at their car. That might give you a clue as well.
Right.
But if you get to know them, you'll know what they spend their money on. And what they spend their money on, we always spend our money on what's most important to us.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So what they spend their money on reliably will be a really good idea as to what they want.
Okay. So it's like playing detective a little bit, isn't it? It's keeping your eyes open, looking around when you're in their car or the house or wherever it might be, or listening to them. Perhaps if they might drop some sort of hint, mightn't they?
Yeah, and I do have lists. I have to say that I start to build up a few months beforehand, so I'll start to think about it beforehand. But this is called the art of conversation as well. Sometimes it's quite good to actually chat to people about what they like, and what they like doing. So what do they spend their time doing? Be really careful about this one. Right. I also got a couple of Facebook messages about this, and one person who stayed a little bit anonymous, she just gave me her blog name, Mummy Barrow. She said that her mother-in-law was once given a food processor.
Right.
Because I suppose the husband thought, look, what she does is she cooks all the time. We have to enjoy doing the stuff.
Right.
Yeah, he got that food processor dumped on his lap. She wasn't very impressed.
No.
So it's more what they really enjoy doing.
I see.
Which maybe with my teenage niece would be shopping. My husband, it's gadgets. We do like a film.
Yeah.
I do love a good film, actually. So something like that.
So you could get maybe a subscription to a film service or something.
Yes.
That might be a thing to do.
My brother's really clever at this, actually. He bought a subscription to a magazine. A couple of different subscriptions to magazines are really good ones, because I think it's not really expensive. It's in your kind of cheap range, but it's something that keeps giving all year.
So the gift that
really
goes
good.
on giving.
Yeah.
Like the sound of that.
And then don't get confused, because again, I say, what do they like? I mean, I am a bit of a Trekkie. I love science fiction. I love Star Wars. I love Star Trek. But you know what? The model of the Starship Enterprise.
Yeah.
That didn't work for me.
No.
No.
Hang on a minute. Let me just change my list. Just grabbing that one off. Right.
Bless him.
Spent ages building that. Can't get warp nacelles anyway,
And then you think, well, who do they spend their time with? That gives you more clues about a person. And you can say, what do you like reading? What do you like watching? Where do you like going? That gives you loads of clues about a person.
Yeah.
Ask them about the latest fads and shops and stuff. Do they go there? What do they think about them? And they'll give you loads of clues.
Sure. And if in doubt, get them a voucher for a store that covers a variety of things, and they can get their own stuff.
Yeah, I get a voucher often from my brother, and actually it's really nice as a mum, because it gives me something I can buy, in a couple of months' time. Vouchers are great for teenagers because they can get stuff in the sales.
Sure.
Voucher isn't bad. Ask. This is not like a map, right? Ask.
Right. Okay.
If you can't work it out, ask a friend. Ask them.
Yeah. Also, of course, you're limited by what's actually available Christmas Eve at 5 p.m. when you get around to doing it
In the garage. Yeah, like
my mum loved those cold briquettes last year. Yeah. She loved them. Anyway, we're going to have to take a break now. We've actually got a travel and traffic bulletin.